तस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी विजयमानस्ते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री गुरु दीनदयाल परमानंदमाधवम श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरम ओम तत्सत्। नमोस्तुदाय कृष्ण कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतेश्वरदान स्वामी नमस्ते सरस्वती गौरवाणी चरणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पारिषद। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। 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 नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं पूजयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. So welcome all in the continuation of our journey of the Amala Purana. The Srimad Bhagavatam is known as the Amal Purana, the spotless Purana. Mala means dirt. Amala means that which has no dirt or spots. Amala Purana, the spotless Purana. And why the Srimad Bhagavatam is called the spotless Purana is being explained in the verse that we are going to be discussing today. The second verse of the first chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So last week we began the series and we discussed chapter 1, canto 1, chapter 1, verse 1. Janmadhyasya ataha. Correct? The definition of the absolute truth, who is the source of everything, all matter, all energies, and all truths are dependent on him, but he is not dependent on anything else. And it is he who in the beginning gave this spiritual knowledge to Lord Brahma in his heart. That is that Supreme Lord, who is the controller of all energies. Satyam Param Dhimahi. We meditate on that supreme absolute truth. So the second verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam speaks about the glories of the Bhagavad itself, so that it can distinguish the scripture Bhagavad from the other scriptures of this world. We started Bhagavad only after we completed Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is considered like a, of course all of them are scriptures, but Bhagavad Gita is like a bachelor study. First degree. This is master. But there is PhD also. So after we complete Bhagavad, after 21 years, just joking. You can start PhD studies as you are doing masters, no problem.
What is PhD?
PhD is, what is PhD?
Implementing.
Yes, Damodar.
Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Yeah, so Chaitanya Charitamrita is the book which is about the life and pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, why it is, we will discuss in detail another time. But basically, the subject of devotion is principally established in Bhagavad Gita. The detailed theory of devotion, of the science of devotion, is explained in the Bhagavad, and the detailed culture of devotion is explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita. The most intimate dealings between the devotees and the Lord are described in great detail. So this book Bhagavad is actually very, very dear to the devotees. So let us discuss. We will recite this verse and then we will discuss about this. So very, very sweet verse. So the first few verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, because they are very deep, very profound and introductory verses, we are discussing them one at a time. Okay, but I am not going to be going one at a time, because otherwise it will take me 18,000 weeks to cover. Okay. So by that time, based on Dehi Nosmin Yatha Dehe Kaumaram Yovanam Jara, I would have changed many bodies. We would have changed many bodies. All of us will not necessarily be in the same bodies also. Hopefully in the same species, if not in better. So I do not know. So I don't know, 18,000 weeks is how many? 54, 56 weeks is 1 year. So 18,000 is very, very long time. Okay?
300 plus.
Huh?
300 plus years.
300 plus years. Okay. So we don't have so much time. You have? You don't have. Okay. So the first few verses I am taking just one at a time, because there are some fundamental concepts, so we must understand. So last time we discussed about the concept of Krishna as the supreme absolute truth, because that is a key concept, because the whole Bhagavatam is revolving around and evolving towards that supreme topic. Krishna is the source of all energies and the supreme independent absolute truth, Abhidya Swarat. And the second verse and the third verse are also very deep and profound. So we'll spend some time in discussing them in a bit more detail. But then verse 4 onwards, then we will run a bit more faster. So from 300 years, I don't know how many I can come down to. Anyway. Okay. Hopefully after 300 years, all of us will be in the spiritual world. Hopefully. So we can directly be with Bhagwan, and hopefully the activities of Bhagavatam will be participating in. Inshallah. God willing. Because it's not in our hands. So actually it is inshallah. Only by the grace of the Lord and the spiritual master one can actually achieve that state. So, we hope and pray by the special mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada and all the wonderful devotees, we hope that we will become dear to the Lord and the Lord will grant us entrance to the Supreme Abode. So we'll spend a few verses and then we will get more deeper into the topic. So let us recite the verse for today. It's a very, very sweet verse and a very profound and a very Hare Krishna. Looks like my wife. When she came in, she did like this, so I said, who is this? Hare Krishna, Diksha Mataji and Hemant Prabhu. Now they are residents, I am guest. Previously they were guests, I was a resident. See, this is how material world is. Situation is always changing, correct? No permanence. Okay? Material world is like that, yes? So, I'll recite the verse. Again, this verse is also amongst the bit more longer and a bit more complicated, but I will recite once and then let's see whether you all can follow. Dharma projita kaitavatro paramo nirmat saranam satam vedyam vastava matra vastu shivadam tapatrayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krute Kimva Parairishvaraha Sadyo Hridi Avarudyate Atra Kritibihi Shushushubi Tat Shana. I'll read the translation, then we'll read the verse again. It's a very, very powerful verse. Translation: completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavad Puran propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. Okay, so Bhagavatam is understandable only by devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Not only my welfare, welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. Tapatrayo unmulanam. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadev in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of the Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within the heart. Sadyo Hridi Avarudyate. The Supreme Lord becomes seated in the Hridi Avarudyate, becomes seated in the heart by the culture of the knowledge which is given in the Bhagavad. So by studying the Bhagavad, what are we trying to do? We are trying to install the Lord in our heart. Just like we install the Lord in the temple, we want to install the Lord in our heart. And how is the Lord installed in the heart? What ritual do you have to do? Shushrushubihi. What does Shushrushubi mean? By attentively and submissively hearing the message of Bhagavad. Simple. You don't need to do any ritual, no fire sacrifice, no need to spend a lot of money. Simply by hearing the message of the Bhagavad with faith, attentively and submissively. Of course, when you are hearing attentively and submissively means you have faith. The Lord is established within the heart. So there is something very, very interesting which is explained in the first few lines of this particular verse, which actually explains what is the very special position of Srimad Bhagavatam. So before I go there, let me state what the Bhagavatam states. The Bhagavatam states that the Bhagavad Puran throws away all types of cheating religion. Kaitava dharma. Throws away Kaitava dharma. So we'll discuss a bit about cheating religion. Do you know any cheating religion? Anybody here knows any cheating religion? Kaitava dharma. Any religion you know in this world which is cheating religion? So there is a particular meaning to this phrase, cheating religion. So that deserves a bit of discussion. And Bhagavatam is saying that I am not describing anything about cheating religion. I am going beyond this topic. I am talking directly about the topmost topic. And that topmost topic is so wonderful, so great, that it will uproot all miseries from the heart. Tapatrayon mulanam. The 3 types of miseries will be uprooted. What are the 3 types of miseries? Getting up, going to work, no internet. 3 miseries. Correct? Adhyatmik, Adi Devi, Adi Bhautik. Correct? No, right? Getting up, right? Okay. So, first sentence is more correct, no? Because we can relate to it. You wake up, night is over, and then going to work, and then the most important need, all-pervading need is Wi-Fi. Otherwise, you're not connected. Just like the transcendentalist never wants to lose connection with the Paramatma. The modern man never wants to be out of a range of a Wi-Fi network. Otherwise it becomes very uncomfortable, right? Yes. If only we would remember the Lord at the same frequency we check our WhatsApp messages. Right? And I'm not just pointing fingers at others. I'm part of the culture which has become like that. Yeah. So like everything, maybe there's some message come. In the same way, if you're always looking inside at the Lord, every few seconds, oh, I forgot, let me again look. I forgot, let me again look. So, Bhagavatam is saying we can make so much, we can actually install the Lord in our heart if we develop this consciousness. But we are happily situated outside the network. Once in a day we download. I'm talking spiritually. Morning aarti, we connect, then disconnect from the network, and at night connect for a few seconds. That's why we are not able to uproot the 3-fold miseries fully. So 3-fold miseries are Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivik and Adhyatmik. Who can define them for me? Adi Bhautik. Let's start with Adhyatmik first. Adhyatmik is pertaining to the body and the mind. Then Adi Bhautik is by other living entities. And Adi Daivik is by natural calamities. Too much heat, too much rain, earthquake. Yes. Which out of these 3 is the most painful? Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik or Adhyatmik? Which is the most painful? What do you think? Adhyatmik. What do you think? Adi Bhautik is troubles by others. Adi Daivik is troubles created by the demigods, disturbance. Too much rain, earthquake, fire. Which is the greatest? He's saying Adhyatmik. Anybody any other opinion? Adi Daivik. Adi Daivik. Adhyatmik. Why prabhu? Adhyatmik small name. Huh?
Because we don't need external stimuli to suffer also.
Correct. So the answer is correct. So ultimately, if you understand this point, you have understood spirituality. Okay? Which means I am actually suffering because of my own mind. Mana eva karanam. Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, of liberation as well as bondage. Because even if there is, others are doing all kinds of mischief, even if there is so much rain, so much cold, whatever, if I have controlled my mind, then everything is sorted out. The problem is mind is also not controlled, plus there is disturbance from outside. Then there becomes havoc. So we all are disturbed, right? We all get disturbed. I also get disturbed. So slowly as we evolve, we become less and less disturbed. So Adhyatmik is the most painful. So if we control the mind, but then Adi Daivik and Adi Bhautik will not impact us so much. Okay, so this knowledge of the Bhagavad is so powerful, it uproots the threefold miseries. And establishes the Lord in the heart. Why? Because Bhagavatam gives the topmost knowledge, having thrown away all types of cheating religion. Now let us discuss a bit about the cheating religion. So most living entities in this world are busy with 4 activities. Yes? What are the 4 activities? Eating, sleeping, meeting, defending. And that habit is so strong, even when we come for classes, the first thing we think is, what will be there for prasad today? Of course, in our case, our prasad is still simple, but especially when we go to temple, kya bana rahe? Kya bana rahe? So that becomes the main attraction, because we are so attached to this so-called need. So, ahara, nidra. When we say nidra, it is not just sleeping, but it covers all kinds of comforts. When we talk about sleep, in a broader sense, when scriptures use the term sleep, it is referring to all kinds of comforts. Ahar is our consumption, nidra is all kinds of comfort, and then mating and defending. These are common activities, so humans as well as animals are doing that. But what does Mahabharata say? Dharmo hi tesham adhiko visheshaha. But dharma is special for human beings. And that is why that human being who is beyond, who is devoid of dharma is as good as a animal. But you know what is the problem? Even after human being becomes so-called civilized, even when he starts following so-called dharma, for most people when they talk about dharma, it is just about following some do's and don'ts, some rules and regulations, some pujas and rituals. But even though they may do some of these things, the ultimate objective of all these so-called dharmic rituals and observances and execution is ultimately just to do better. Ahara, nidra, bhaya, eating, sleeping, mating and defending. Correct? Yes? Okay. Animals are sleeping on the road, but we will pray to God, I want a better place to stay. So we are also praying, but we are praying for essentially the same things which are being asked by animal species. Of course, it is not that we don't need these 4 things, but the problem is our dharma becomes limited to these 4 things only. That is why this kind of dharma, which is aimed at fulfilling the same animalistic propensities which are there in human life, which are there in animal life, focused on the same, if one is executing religious duties, then all these duties are considered cheating religion. Why cheating? Why it is called cheating religion? Who's cheating who in this case? Huh? You are cheating yourself. Why you are cheating yourself? How are you cheating yourself? Because dharma has the potential to give you the highest. Dharma has the potential to remove all sufferings and give you the highest experience of the Lord, which will give you full fulfillment of your heart. But instead, we use dharma for artha, dharma, kama moksha. At best moksha. Many people glorify moksha so much. But those who are students of the Bhagavad, for them moksha they keep on the side. Because the whole idea of moksha is to be free from suffering, which is good. But what the Bhagavad has to offer is so much more than simply freedom from suffering. Yes? Let's say you are being harassed by your boss in your job. She's laughing. Immediately harassed by boss in your job. Anybody here loves their boss? Loves means not in that sense. Really likes your boss. And I'm genuinely asking, I'm just curious. Anybody? Raise your hand. You like your boss? No, I didn't say no problem. I said like, really like. I mean means not like. No means really admire. Who's your boss? Boss rejected the idea. Boss doesn't think employee loves him. Okay. Huh? Yeah. Okay. But anyway, I mean, just have a side question. But the point is that even when one is in a situation that unlikely situation that one has a master who is wonderful, that is very unlikely. But most of the times one is in a situation where one has a troublesome control of somebody else over oneself. So in that situation, what would you normally want? The first thought that comes to the mind is, I want to be free from this misery. Correct? Correct? Vinalji? Since she is fresh from that experience, we will ask her. She is our subject for today. Yes. So either, what happens eventually? You achieve moksha. Means either you leave the boss or the boss asks you to go. One of the two. Correct? It feels like mukti, right? Feels like liberation. Finally I got rid of the boss. And then you come home. You feel so nice. And then you wake up next day morning. Feels nice. For 1 hour it feels nice. After breakfast you realize, I don't have a job. So it's nice to be free, but you must have something good to look forward to. You must go to something higher. Mukti is just about being free. But what is it positive that you are seeking? So actually the heart is seeking love. Such a deep love that will fully fulfill the heart. That is what the heart is looking for. Only problem is that the heart is looking for it in the wrong places. That is why it is caught up in Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivik, Adhyatmik miseries. Yes. But this Bhagavad is showing the way for the real purpose of dharma, the real goal of dharma. What is the meaning of dharma? Dharma means to understand what is one's real nature. And what is one's real nature? Jivera Swarup Hoy, Krishnera Nitya Das. The real nature, the real dharma of the soul is to be eternally a servant of Krishna. Krishnasya Tatastha Shakti Veda Veda Prakash. The Jeev is the marginal energy of the Supreme Lord and is simultaneously one and different from the Lord. This is what the Bhagavad is explaining. And one must come to that realization, because only that realization is the true attainment of the objective of dharma. Yes? If our execution of religion, religious duties, spiritual practices is not aimed at that and not taking us in that direction, but is rather being used to fulfill the same needs, ahara, nidra, bhaya and maitri. Aren't we cheating ourselves? Yes or no? Dharma has the potential to take you to the highest, but you are using dharma to fulfill animalistic tendencies. You just become a bit more sophisticated. Correct? Actually, most people, if they have everything, good ahara, nidra, bhaya, maitri, they will not even go to God. Only when problems come, they will start to worry. Mandir nahi gaya, ab jaake aata hu. I'm not gone to temples. I have had people who came to Bhagavad Gita class and I asked them, why you came? No, I have a lot of problems, that's why I came to Bhagavad Gita class. Then after 6 months they disappeared. I asked them, why you stopped doing? No, my problem has gone now. No, they actually told me like that. Nicely, happily. That means they didn't understand anything I spoke, so actually it looks bad on me, right? Bad on me in the sense, I failed to make them understand what is. Sometimes the nature of the soul is, sometimes we are like an inverted pot. No matter how much water, nothing gathers, everything washes out. This one is just so fixed on the lower tendencies of either eating, sleeping, mating, defending, or artha, dharma, kama. Moksha also very few people. Artha, dharma, kama. That one just. So Bhagavad says, the Puran says that I am not dealing with any of this cheating religion. If you have come to study Bhagavad because you want a better job, if you have come to Bhagavad because you want a beautiful wife, or you want good health, then it's not that Bhagavatam cannot give you this. It's not that Bhagavatam, then you're just cheating yourself. And Bhagavatam is not even focusing on this topic at all. The Bhagavad is focusing on solving all your problems and giving you the highest experience. So don't cheat yourself with cheating principles of religion, which are simply aimed at perpetuating your material existence. And please understand, this Bhagavad is not just an ordinary scripture written by any Tom, Dick, Harry, or not even just by another sage. It is written by Mahamuni Krite. Who is the Mahamuni who has written Bhagavad? Apne? Sri Madhav said. Vyasa. Mahamuni Krite. Mahamuni here is Vyasa. But Vyasa wrote this book at the end, after he had written everything else. And that is described later in the Bhagavad, so I am not going to jump ahead of the story. All these things are covered in the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, so we'll come to that. But the point here is, Veda Vyasa wrote the Bhagavad at the maturity of his spiritual understanding. After he had gone through the Mahabharata, the Puranas, the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Vedanta Sutra, which normally most people think is the topmost, iske upar kuch nahi hai. Even after that, he was reflecting, I have not yet touched the topmost topic. And then he discussed it with his spiritual master, and his spiritual master also confirmed, yes, you haven't touched the topmost. And he consulted with him, and then they reached the conclusion, what is the topmost? And then he told him, now you write about the topmost. Yes. So in this topmost spiritual maturity, Vyasadeva wrote this Bhagavad. That's why it is written, Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kimva Parairishwaraha. Kimva Parai. If Vyasa has written this in his topmost spiritual maturity and after that there is nothing else, what is the need to study anything else? Is enough. Now you will say, Prabhu, you told me the same thing about Bhagavad Gita. Correct? I told you the same thing about Bhagavad Gita also, right? What is the need to study any other scripture? So, I am lying? So, how to understand this? Is this a contradiction? Actually, it is not, because Bhagavatam is simply expanding in detail on the conclusion of the Gita. What is the conclusion of the Gita? मन्मना भव मद्भक्तो मद्याजी मां नमस्कुरु मामेव सत्यं ते प्रतिजाने प्रियोषि मे सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वां सर्वपापेभ्यो मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः. Where Gita ends, Bhagavatam starts, expands. Let us now talk about those great devotees and their relationship with the Lord and how they surrendered to the Lord and how they did this manmana, bhava bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru, how they surrendered everything to the Lord. Look at Dhruva, look at Prahlad, look at Vritrasur, and eventually look at the gopis. Slowly going. Yes? Okay. So it is not different. It is focusing on the essence and elaborating the essence and making it very sweet. Okay? So both is correct. That's why Gita Bhagavatam is like a package. And they should always be understood together. So dharma projita kaitavatra paramo nirmatsaranam satam. Now this Bhagavad is so high and so pure that if you actually want to understand it, the qualification, first the glory of the speaker was established, Mahamuni Kriti, glory of the subject was established. Yes? What is the glory of the subject? The topmost knowledge, and it removes all three miseries, and what else? What is the glory of the topic? What else does it do? It establishes the Lord within the heart. Sadhyo rudhi avarudyate prithvi shushrushubihi tat kshanat. What does tat kshanat means? Instantly. And now this is not an exaggeration. This is not an exaggeration. If you hear Srimad Bhagavatam attentively and submissively, you will immediately feel the presence of the Lord in your heart. At least as long as you are listening attentively, you feel the presence in your heart. Okay? So next time, when you are absorbed. But what is the qualification? There is some qualification also. If you actually want to understand the subject properly, this verse talks about a qualification, because every subject has a qualification. What does the verse say? What is the qualification? Attentively, submissively is, yeah, okay. What else? Read. Chant. The Bhagavatam is understandable by whom? It's already mentioned in the translation. Those whose hearts are pure. Correct? If you want to fully understand the subject, your heart must be pure. What will happen if your heart is impure? Of course, the heart will slowly get purified, that is true. But you know, when the heart is impure, and here impure, Prabhupada explains very nicely, because the original word that the Lord uses is very interesting. He says nirmatsar. What is the meaning of nirmatsar? Non-envious. Means a person who has no envy. From a spiritual perspective, when we talk about extreme purity, we don't just talk about no anger. We don't talk about no lust. Those can be conquered at lower stages. But actual standard of purity, the highest standard of purity is Nirmatsar. Correct, Upendra Prabhu? Upendra Prabhu is actually a wonderful example of a Nirmatsara devotee. Nirmatsara devotees are not competitive with anybody. They are just interested in serving the Lord. Never competitive with one another. They don't bother about this, that. my control, my area, my program, my this, my that. Nirmatsara. All these considerations are kept aside. One is only interested in serving and pleasing the Lord. So when one's heart is like this, one can actually properly understand the message of the Bhagavatam. Why it is like this? Because if the heart is not nirmatsar, if the heart is still influenced by kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada and matsara, the problem is the strong tendency of the conditioned mind is to use dharma again back for the kaitav purpose. You understand? One will use dharma again for kaitav purpose. You will again have Bhagavatam, but you will have Bhagavad Katha for what?
Religion.
Again for the same thing you will do. Again you will come to Artha, Dharma, Kama, maybe Moksha at best. And again go down. So you will not be able to actually understand the essence and put that essence of the Bhagavad into your life. Because we will still keep thinking that the highest happiness still lies in good eating, good sleeping, good mating and good defending. It actually takes a lot of purification to even be properly convinced that the highest happiness lies simply in loving the Lord limitlessly without any conditions. And Bhagavad explains this in the future verses. What is that verse? Anybody remembers the verse of the Bhagavad? The older students, many here who have already studied the Bhagavad a few times. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaye ahaitiki apratihata jaya atma suprasidati. If you forget everything else, please don't forget this shloka. If you don't know, please remember it. This is Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll give you the verse number. Can somebody find out Google the verse number and tell me please? Savai pumsam paro dharmo, I think it's the first chapter itself. 7th, 9th or 11th, something around there. Savai pumsam paro dharmo, the topmost dharma, which is what we are talking about, having given up kaitav dharma. Which was? 1, 2, 6. Oh, 2, second chapter is it? Okay, divinity and divine service, sorry. 2, 6.
First chapter.
First canto, second chapter, okay. 6th verse. 1.2.6. Savai pumsam paro dharmo. The topmost dharma, giving up all cheating dharma, is what? Yato bhakti. Having intense devotion for adhokshaja, not just some lord of this world, the transcendental Lord. And what kind of love? Ahaituki, not love for dharma, artha, kama, moksha, not love for eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Ahaituki, no reason other than love, for love's sake. And apratihita, not for 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening, always. And what will this kind of love give you? Jaya Atma Suprasidati. If you do that, your Atma, yourself, will be simply joyful. Unbounded joy. That is all. This is all you actually need to know. All other things are details of the practice. This is the topmost, and this is what Bhagavad focuses on. But to even come to this point of this understanding and conviction, even intellectually, forget attaining it. Attaining it is a very high thing. Even to be able to appreciate this point that yes, if I actually can attain this state, wow, this is actually perfection. Perfection is not having trouble. Perfection is not having all the opulence. Because none of these other situations, no matter how opulent one is, how free from suffering one is, how many siddhis one has, how much control one has, no matter what, it will not make the Atma suprasidati. It will not. It will still be a superficial, external situation. Only yato bhaktir adokshashe ahaituki apratihata. I just want to, out of curiosity again, how many who are seated in this audience are convinced of this point? Can, no problem. You can raise your hand. You don't have to look around at others. Yes? 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 I am raising my hand also. Okay? So this is not a trick question. This is not a trick question. Okay? This is not a trick question. Okay? If you have come to this point, you are very, very, very fortunate. If you have come to this point. This is a very, very, very great achievement for a living entity to come to this conclusion कि ये मामला क्या है, करना क्या है, what is the whole crux? Correct, Upendra Prabhu? It is such a big thing. It is really a big deal, very big deal. Because most people don't even figure this out. Vyasadeva figured this out after speaking to Narad Muni. Not that he didn't know it, but it didn't come out so strongly. So Bhagavatam is saying, if your heart is contaminated, you will lose focus. You will not be able to understand this. You will always go down to other things. Even within devotion, you will do gadbad. You will do politics. You will forget that the whole purpose is ahetuki apratihata bhakti. Yes? So to actually understand and practice this, one must become free. But as Damodar Prabhu mentioned, the way to become free is also by continuing to hear Bhagavad. So don't worry. To understand Bhagavatam properly, you have to be fully purified in the heart. But to become purified in the heart also, you have to hear Bhagavatam. That's why at the beginning of Bhagavatam, I recited one verse. What was that verse? What was that verse? At the beginning of every Bhagavatam class, we recite that verse. After that, Narayana Namaskrityam Naram Sevadanam. After that, Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhakti. What does that mean? That when you regularly hear Srimad Bhagavat, the heart becomes purified of all contamination and one can become fixed in devotion to the Lord. Fixed. Now we are not fixed, no? That's why the Lord comes in the heart, goes. Comes in the heart, goes. When we are attentively in an absorbed way listening to the Bhagavat, Hridhi avarudyate. Then what happens? When? Because the Lord says, whoever is remembering me intensely and chanting my name and my glories, I immediately appear. The Lord is saying. In the Ramayana, in the Gita, in the Bhagavad, everywhere the Lord says. Yatra gayanti mad bhakta tatra tishtami narada naham tishtami vaikunte yoginam hridayeshuva yatra gayanti mad bhakta. Where devotees are listening, hearing the Bhagavad, the Lord is personally present here. We may not be able to perceive. Maybe not externally, but in our heart, if we are actually in that mood of hearing and glorifying the Lord, we can feel the presence of the Lord in our heart. This is the truth. So we must become more and more absorbed so we can feel that presence in the heart. And when we continue this practice and we become purified in our heart, then our bhakti can become fixed. And when the bhakti becomes fixed, our experience becomes fixed. Yes? Which means our joy becomes fixed. our steadiness of consciousness becomes fixed. Correct? Yes? Okay, so that is the endeavor. So Bhagavat is the means also, is the end also. Same like the holy name. Yeah, the means also, that bhakti is like that. In bhakti everything is like that. Yeah. Bhakti is not just the means. Bhakti is also the end. Why? Because the end is paro dharmo yato bhaktir adokshaje ahituki apratyata. Apratyata means uninterrupted. For how long? How long you want to do devotion to God? Until you get mukti? No, eternally. The aspiration of the devotee is eternally. Why? Because the bhakta is not seeing bhakti as a means to get rid of something. He is seeing that as the supreme destination. Why? Because that service, that love, that relationship is what will give him eternal fulfillment. So he always wants to remain engaged in that situation eternally. That is why the greatest of devotees always pray, "O Lord, of course I don't want problem, but if you want to give problem, you want to give trouble, you give me any trouble, but just one benediction I want." It's not that we ask for trouble, but even if you give, because my karma is such, you want me to be purified, all other situations are okay, but don't give me one thing. Please spare me from one most dangerous thing, which is to forget you. You see, the greatest of devotees, they always pray like this. Greatest, may I never forget you. Prabhupada, when he went to the West, it was very amazing. I don't know whether Radhanath Maharaj was speaking or some other sannyasi was speaking. Amazing. You know, we may think that we will only pray like this. The greatest of devotees pray like this. "Oh Lord, I am going to the West. Please, may I not forget you ever." Because the material energy is so powerful. Of course, he is not actually in a position that he can forget the Lord, but out of their humility, that is their consciousness. Because they know that the greatest loss is to forget the Lord. And if you see the prayers, you see Prahlad's prayers, you see the prayers of the great souls' prayers, they are always saying this in different words, but the point is the same. Let me always remain your servant, let me always never forget. Hanuman was asked, "What is it, the greatest benediction you want?" The greatest benediction I want is, let me always this relationship remain in my mind, that you are the master, I am your servant. बस ये स्थायी भाव होना चाहिए. You understand? स्थायी means this is because of the fixed consciousness. All others ऊपर नीचे is all fine, but this is not compromisable for those who understand what is the highest thing. So a devotee can go through everything, but is always praying, "The Lord, all other things are okay, but let me never forget you." And one way to ensure we never forget the Lord is to always pray to the Lord, and this is another way devotees pray to the Lord. Because actually, unless we are very advanced in consciousness, we cannot not forget the Lord. See, that is the reality. Unless we are sufficiently purified and advanced, we are very prone to forget the Lord. That is why many devotees pray for the same thing in a different way. What do you think they pray for? Yes. So how we can pray to the Lord in such a way that we will never forget the Lord? Very good. Great devotees pray, "Let me always be in the association of devotees who are devoted their life to serving you. Because in that association I cannot but always remember you." Is it not? Isn't that another way of telling the Lord that I will not never forget you? Because if you are always surrounded by devotees who are dedicating their lives, if Hanuman is always around us, can we forget Ram? Cannot, right? So that is the prayer of the great souls. Okay. So there are many points. So let me just see whether I have covered everything. Of course, I am touching it very briefly. Dharma projita kaitavatra paramo nirmatsaranam satam. This one we discussed. Vedyam vastavam atra vastavam vastu shivadam tapatrayam bulanam. So this phrase we didn't actually discuss. That having given up cheating religion, the Bhagavad is talking about the Supreme Lord, which is the topmost thing to understand. Vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam. It's talking about that substance, that vastu. What is the meaning of vastu? In simple word substance, but vastu means that which exists. जिसका वास होता है, जिसका which exists, vastu. जिसका अस्तित्व है, vastu. What is the topmost vastu? It is talking about the topmost vastu, the real factual vastu. These vastus are not factual. Yes, we spoke about truth, right? Truth, relative truth, absolute truth. Yes, and this is talking about the absolute truth. Shivadam for all living beings. The Bhagavad is talking about that. Vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam tapatrayon mulanam. Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni krite kimba parerishvaraha sadhyah hridi avarudyate atra kritivi shushrushuvi tat shana. Immediately. Very, very beautiful. So this verse talks about the glory of the Bhagavad, the special position of the Bhagavad in terms of the author, in terms of the substance, in terms of the goal, in terms of its effects, and also talks about the qualification of the reader to be able to actually receive this message properly. Okay, so I'll end here. Thank you very much. Any questions, any comments? Okay. So we'll do Kirtan for a few minutes. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshaya Surukale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Gauravani Prasad Prabhupada.